Yeah. Welcome everyone to another episode of Confronting Our Thoughts. It has definitely been a minute, but the boys are back, and we're going to start off this episode. Just get right into what our daily, what our day to day looks like right now. Because it's about midway, a little less than midway through our semester. So our day to days look fairly similar right now. And so we want to start this episode off by just checking in with that and um, just maybe some things we're proud of our routine that we carried, due to this podcast or whatever, just checking in with ourselves that we've carried over and that are providing benefits or green lights in our lives. And then what are some things that we're doing on a day-to-day basis that we maybe aren't the most proud of. And then, I think maybe just talking about it and being mindful and just being aware with one another of, things that we need to work on or things that we are doing that are doing well with that, we can, just help each other out with that sense. So Zach, I'll start with you. What does Zach Wiggins's day-to-day look like right now? And yeah, and you get it, and then we'll go from there. We'll kind of not critique it, but we'll just talk about it. Some things that, like I just mentioned. So yeah, okay, you first.
So depending on the day, I'll either be a student or a internship student. So Mondays and Thursdays, I'm at my internship site, which is the state hospital that's in Williamsburg. So that's basically an 8 to 4:30 thing, and that's basically the clinical experience that I'm going to be getting for this whole semester plus the next semester. So a whole year's worth, and I'm seeing clients and like going on the units and stuff like that. So I'm in my second week of that officially because I had new employee orientation. So that took 2 weeks because it's like a state facility. So there's a lot of training to do. And even though I'm an intern, I still had to do most of it, even though it didn't really apply to me. So that's Mondays and Thursdays. And then Tuesdays and Wednesdays, I have class basically all day. And um, that's like my every week is like that. And then I'm off Fridays, but I use that time to try to catch up and see what I have to do. And I guess one thing that I can say that I'm not proud of what I'm doing is like staying on top of my self-care, I guess, because I feel like I get so wrapped up in the day-to-day aspect of my life, especially now with like schoolwork really picking up and assignments starting to become closer to their due dates. I feel like I'm in a mode where I'll be doing one thing, for example, say like internship all day, and then I'll go home and like take the dogs out, and then I'll still need to go to the gym. And then by the time sometimes I'm getting home, it's already like 7:30 by the time I'm like relaxed and like in for the night, I guess. So and I still have like to eat dinner and um if I have schoolwork or stuff like that to do. So I have been slacking on self-care for sure. And I'm definitely not proud of that because that's something they've been preaching to us in the counseling program is take care of yourself or you're going to get burnt out. And I'm not saying I'm going to experience burnout, but I'm definitely aware I'm not doing things that I would want to be doing as much as I want to. So I guess that's just the busyness aspect that is adding to that because I kind of forget to maybe relax a little bit and take a step back. But other than that, I do think being busy is kind of a good thing because then you're not just sitting around, maybe sitting on your phone and stuff like that. And I guess one thing I am proud of is how busy I have been is it's nice and I was able to complete this abstinence project for my one class and I gave up Twitter and we were supposed to give up something for 4 weeks. So yesterday was the exact 4 week mark. And I thought it was going to be harder than it was. Like it was actually really easy. So I think I might just not re-download Twitter and just maybe also delete. Well, I don't know. I might delete YouTube or Snapchat too, because that's the only social media I have on my phone. But something I did notice that I'm proud of is just not going on my phone as much. But I did notice that that is because I'm like busy and like at class or like at the hospital, so I'm not really able to be on my phone. But even when I'm just doing something at home, I'm not really checking it that much. So I think that has gotten me more productive in a way. So I am proud of that, but at the same time, I think the thing I'm upset about, or like the thing that's not going so well, is like the self care aspect. I think I'm more upset about that than proud I am of like not going on my phone and stuff like that. But other than that, I think things have been going well, and I can't really complain. So that's about where I'm at with that.
Yeah, a couple things. One, what this is, obviously they're all personal questions, but what is when you do go to the clinic, no, it's not the clinic, but your like your internship site, are you sitting in, you're obviously like sitting in on one-on-one counseling sessions with people? Not obviously, that's a question. I don't know.
Um, I haven't done a full session yet, but I've done check-ins with the people I'm going to be seeing, so like 15 to 30 minutes. But I have my first, like, I guess, official one tomorrow morning because I go in tomorrow. But I've been like on the units and talking to clients for the past 2 weeks, just not, I guess, therapy yet. Um, and I'll be doing therapy and this other thing. It's called like restoration to competency. So basically people come from the jails and it's like a court ordered treatment for them that they need to get a little bit better understanding of their charges and like the legal system. So then that's where I come in and I kind of help them become more competent so they can stand trial and like go through the trial process. So um I think I'll start that tomorrow too, like shadowing that. But I've shadowed like people that work there, but my direct supervisor was on vacation. So tomorrow she said we'll go do that and I think I'll get to do some of myself. But therapy will start tomorrow. So
And what's the therapy, what's the majority of the reasons that these people are seeing a therapist?
well, so the restoration services are the
Is
ones yeah, are the this is important. The restorations for the people who are in there's like building one and building two. Building two is for the people who come from the jails usually, or if they're like civilly committed. But there's not that many civil commitments anymore because this facility is basically turning into a forensic unit. So it's like 95% people from the jails um, with like mental illness. So the restoration people are the ones are in the acute units, which is building two, and then building one are there is the geriatric pod, which is like an acute unit, but then everything else in building one is NGRI patients. So not guilty by reason of insanity. So basically, they admitted to doing the crime, but they had so much evidence to support the fact that they were mentally ill at the time of the crime. So that's their treatment and that's their sentencing is like your NGRI. You did it, but you're not guilty because you were insane. So their treatment is they're coming to Eastern State and there's like a big it's like a level system. There's like 5 levels they have to complete in order to get back into the community. So those are the people who live there really, really long term because they're trying to show they're stable and they're able to work and provide for themselves and not be a danger to the community. So those are the people that the psychology department does therapy with because they're a little bit more stable than the other building. Because the other building, they come in and to get stable, but the people in building one are already like they've been there working on themselves for a while. Not to say that there still isn't problems on that side, but it's more beneficial to do therapy with them because they have way more insight, if that makes sense.
yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so that's the people I'll be doing therapy with, and I guess they can kind of just seek out therapy if they want it, or if my if people in the psychology department think like this person might benefit from it, we can kind of just do it. But person I think I'm seeing tomorrow, she's seeked it out because she wants to just gain more insight about her diagnosis and just life after Eastern State, whenever that is. So
Yeah. Yeah, that's
How
dope.
do
So
they
it's a
distinguish like sorry, go ahead, Tom.
no, 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 you're good, you're good.
No, like how do they distinguish between like when they try to claim that they're insane, can you prove that they're not?
Yeah, so basically, if you're doing the, you mean like me myself?
Oh, no, no, not you, but like in that
Oh,
clinic.
yeah. Well, yeah, if they're pleading, if it's like a plea deal, it's like a plea option, is like NGRI is one of the options, like guilty, not guilty, no contest, or like NGRI. So if you're pleading NGRI and you get found by the judge that you weren't insane, then you're going to jail because like you're admitting you did it. So you're guilty. But you have, if you have enough like evidence and you think you could get that like sentence, then you should probably do it because you're not going to go to jail for the most part. You'll probably go to a place like this, like a facility to do treatment, or may I don't know what other options they have for this, but uh you don't go to jail, like jail. But I mean, this is supposed to be, it's like weird. I don't really understand how it works, but jail is the like least restrictive uh type of housing for like individuals. Like the state hospital is a more restrictive setting, so we're trying to get these people back to the jail, like the ones who come for restoration, because it's like a step down process. So if the people who finish the NGRI level system, they'll go into like the community to like a group home after Eastern State before they're like really released, just to see how that goes. But then the other side of that is if they do mess up, if they're NGRI and they mess up, they kind of have to restart the whole process again, like the whole. And I think the minimum that they live is like a year. But there's been people there for like more than probably 5 years. So they let go and they go to work, some of them, and then they come right back and they just sleep at the hospital. So
Yeah, what a
That's
crazy.
crazy.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's just wild to like Luke
That's
kind of the
America.
question that Luke asked is just like, so what happens, if they aren't insane, and it's like, oh, then they're guilty. But like, it's just such a black and no, it, it's such a black and white mindset on obviously a very gray area of the legal system right now. But like, that's at the end of the day, that's like, hopefully we're making strides in the right direction because this wasn't really a thing, probably back in the day. I don't know. It's just a lot. It's a lot. And I just hope we're trying our best and hope our intentions are good and pure when we're trying to figure this whole thing out when it comes to mental health and crime and keeping them off the streets, but making sure they're still living a fulfilled life. I don't know. It's a problem that I don't necessarily, want to engage in because it's very, very, I can imagine it's pretty complicated. Um, so yeah, just a couple things as far as what Zach was mentioning about his day to day right now. And he mentioned like, so sorry. The first thing is I feel like there's two sides to every person's like day to day. And it's boring and they're unproductive. Oh, sorry. It's either boring because they're not doing something they enjoy or they're not doing something that's challenging, or they're like trying not to get burned out. There's like no kind of gray area. I feel like it's either like, yeah, you're like I said, you're just bored out of your mind, not doing anything, no idea what you're, no direction, or you're like, shit, I'm doing a lot right now and I'm just scared to get burned out. So I guess it's the point of the conversation is to understand, to just be aware that like, hey, we do have a lot going on. But to just be mindful of our health, and like Zach mentioned, like something that he's put on the back burner right now is like a self-care. And like the biggest thing is this is why we have these conversations, right? This is why we bring this up for you don't wait 5 years to have a conversation with yourself of like, damn, I haven't, or with people you like, of like, damn, I haven't been taking care of myself nearly as much as I was a couple months ago or something. And um just as a person who cares about you, and obviously Zach cares for himself, it's just like, hey, thank you for saying that and being vulnerable in that sense, and be like, there's definitely something I can work on, and definitely something that hasn't been the best. Like you said, this is why we have these conversations. So thank you for sharing. Um, Yeah, and then the difference between being busy and being productive, I think, is huge, right? Because in my mind, when people are busy, they're most of the time they're doing something that's out of their control, or they're doing something they don't necessarily like. But when people say they're being productive, they're super productive, they're just doing things that they feel are, are better for them, whether it is a job that they're passionate about or that's challenging, um, or they are taking care of their health, their physical health, their mental health, their relationships. But those two people, right, people who are busy and people who are productive, aren't necessarily having they have the same amount of time on, their days are still 24 hours. The difference is, I think people who are busy are letting kind of letting the world take reins of their day to day, right? They like have to do all these things, and then so in their mind, they're just busy is a negative connotation, but then productivity is positive connotation for the most part. But at the end of the day, they're the same thing. People are just doing stuff throughout their day. The difference is being productive and busy is productive. People do things that are going to make them better in their lives, whether that's like I said, doing something they're passionate about for their day-to-day career, or that they make a living based off of. They're taking care of their health, taking care of their family, their relationships, whatever may have you. So I guess to circle this up, it's just like we all have the same amount of day. It's all 24 hours. Let's make sure we're trying to be more productive human beings than just busy people, right? And obviously it's a spectrum, right? It's a flow. Sometimes our life just we got to be busy, and feels like life is just taking us by the waves, and we're just going with it. And there's times where we feel like, damn, I'm really productive because I'm working on myself and things like that. Luke, do you have anything to add before we go into yours?
No, I'm right there with you. I'm kind of going it with mine, but yeah, I
Yeah,
completely agree.
yeah. So Luke, what does your day to day look like right now, and then what are some things that Luke Giovanni wants to keep doing, and that Luke Giovanni wants to maybe do maybe a little less of going into, like, the fall, winter months?
Yeah, well, definitely back in the swing of things with school, and it's been going well about midway through. Uh Football's back, man. Football's back. So that's been the weekends, 4 days a week, what, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, just football. It's just football. But it's been good. Just watch some of the games. I get my work done during those games. It's been so that's like a big aspect that I was like, okay, I've been feeling good about this now. Like normally I would just turn on football and just watch it all day and not get a single thing done. I've had a
Yeah.
couple of those Sundays where you're like, like after the whiteout game, it was a crappy day, and man, it's just a good time. But yeah, that Sunday it hit and didn't get a single thing done. But at the end of the day, it's been going well. Some things have been going well that I've been proud of, just kind of sticking my routine and making sure I'm getting those things done that I have on the to-do list for the day, just to knock those out and just feel good about my day and have a productive day. So I've definitely felt proud of myself for that. And then uh like another thing with exams, I always used to just stress like real hard about it. Like, oh man, I gotta think about all these things I gotta study for and that I gotta get done, like homework wise, and try to stay on top of this ball. But just enjoying the process and having faith that it's all gonna work out has been huge. So yeah. Negative thing, I'd say the football. Yeah, I just gotta turn it off sometimes. Like I got four screens in the back going on right now. Like, it's all day. But I digress. It's been all well in here in State College.
Yeah, what are some things that you're proud of that you've been doing this semester?
Honestly, staying on top of my work, like I have to actually read like some of my books, like for one of my classes, and I look at these the letters and the numbers, and it's just they're floating around in my head all day, and like I don't even know what they mean. And but staying on top of that has been like a huge thing. So I actually know what's going on in the class, and because normally like at this point I'd be like just so lost. But just trying to stay on top of that ball is it's hard, it's challenging, but if you can stay on top of it, and it really does help. It just makes you feel a little bit better. Been getting sleep. Sleep has been my best friend. Just staying being able to get a good sleep schedule and just waking up a little bit earlier and be able to get my day started. That's what I've been proud of.
Yeah. Yeah, it
Just
all
simple
comes.
wins, simple wins.
Yeah, it's hard, when the night comes and you just gotta put everything aside, especially when you're feeling productive and you're feeling like on a roll. It's tough sometimes to kind of cut that out, because you want to like take advantage for the vibe that you have. Um, but on the aspect of sleep, where it's like, man, I gotta be, sometimes being disciplined is like stop
Mhm.
working, and stop,
Yeah.
or cutting off a conversation with someone, or cutting off, work for the day, or football, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
It's just as important as getting your day like started, is like knowing when to end. So that's huge. That's huge.
Yeah, like I used to be huge. Yo, I'll stay up till 3 a.m. and study, but I've just been cutting that off lately. I'd rather work in the morning on this when I've had like a good amount of sleep, and I just feel like the clarity of my thoughts have been the thought process of going into my work have just boosted up. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, for
yeah,
sure.
it's
For
amazing.
sure.
It's an amazing thing when you just flip the
Yes.
script a little bit.
Yeah. Sleep is sleep
Yeah,
is a motherfucker. When you have it, it's the
yeah,
best thing ever. And when you don't have it, it's the worst. So
yeah. Don't abuse it. I
yeah.
love like how we're having the notion just being busy is a privilege, and yeah, I want my alone time. I want my like time to myself. I'm just like, oh, this is my time to myself now. Like I'm enjoying my time. But yeah, like you said, like when you have those challenges, you don't see it as a challenge. You're like, man, I really don't want to be doing this, like with schoolwork or something like that. It's just it's something that you only do, but it's challenging your mind. So you're expanding your thought processes and you're firing new neurons and building new connections. So, but I digress from that.
Well, no, I think, that sounds like you say, I can kind of tell just by like how your voice changed. You're like, oh, this sounds silly to have that perspective. But it's like, it's true. What else? So we have two options, right? When it comes to like what you have to do for the day, you could either like just be mad, that you have a challenge
Mhm.
that day.
Yeah.
And just like, and like I said, just create more friction in your day to day, and actually just probably not be a happier person, and obviously not go into your day with like the best intentions. Or you can decide to just be like, hey, I'm grateful that I can do something that's challenging me. There are so many people that, on this earth that, work whatever hours. I don't really care about hours, but they're just doing something that is so nonchalant and just like doesn't stimulate them at all. And like easy isn't even a good word for it, because that's not an easy way to live, because that's more challenging, because you have to just get through the day and just like you're wasting your time away and stuff, or you feel like you're wasting your time away. So the biggest thing I want to get is just like optimistic people who, like optimism is huge, you know what I mean? And like to being optimistic on your situation, in a simple way of putting it is like being grateful for the challenges of your life, because
Mhm.
there's always going to be challenges. Like it doesn't matter, so it's really your decision. You can either live your life complaining about those challenges, or you can live your life being grateful for them. And yeah, one's easier said that, or one's easier done than the other, but easy decisions, easy life, hard decision. Never mind. Easy decisions, hard life, hard decisions, easy life. So I would rather choose the hard decisions.
No, absolutely. And yeah, like that too. Like, wait, what was the last thing you said before that?
Just about like your perspective on being like optimistic about your challenges. And
Oh, like how you were saying, like just getting through the day compared to just like being on top of your day and just getting those things done. Like it does take a toll when you're just trying to get through that day.
yeah, it's almost like you attacking the day than allowing the day to attack you.
Hmm.
Unless
Right.
no one's perfect, no one stays, but I'm telling you, the more you're aware of it and the more you try, the more days versus not that you're going to have just a better day and more fulfilled. Um, just taking a quote out of one of the books I'm bringing it into, it's simply, it's just a highlight on one of the pages, and it just says a daily gratitude practice, a daily mindfulness practice, regular exercise, and a good night's rest. That is four activities. Sorry, that remains the best recipe for anyone who has found happiness in their lives.
Absolutely.
And it's
Yeah.
like, and those are things like, let's just, I don't know, a daily gratitude practice, maybe writing three things you're grateful for, 10 minutes. We'll say, 10 minutes on the 10 minutes, daily mindfulness practice, 10-minute meditation, 20 minutes, regular exercise. We'll say 45, we'll say an hour. So right now we're at 80 minutes. A good night's rest, obviously, we'll say 8 hours. Well, maybe we'll put the good night's rest aside. Oh yeah, I guess we can say, yeah, 8 hours for good night's rest. So that's like 9 hours and 30 minutes for happiness, and we have 24 hours in a day.
Absolutely.
And like, and so just like the more we talk about our day-to-day and stuff like that, the more that we have these conversations with ourselves on things we can work on and things we're proud of, and we have them with people that care about us, the more we're going to try to live on this, we're going to try to live this recipe for happiness. Yeah.
That
Yeah.
like, well, let's keep it real. Like, I complain about like being busy and having like all these things to do in the day, but like at the end of the day, if you're just consciously knowing that you're doing that, then I feel like it's okay. It's just letting loose like your thoughts, so you're built up aggression throughout the day or whatever. I think it'd be all right. Just don't beat yourself up too hard.
Yeah, exactly. And, I don't know, have a real conversation with yourself. If it's constantly that you're going through the days just feeling miserable, then like maybe you need to check in with and you feel like you're doing all those things I just listed. And you're still, it's weeks in, months in, and you're just like, man, this just doesn't get my rocks off anymore. Or if it ever did, hey, maybe that's the way to have a conversation with yourself. Like, hey, maybe there's a path we need to, maybe there's a turn we need to make in our lives. And, but yeah, just, I guess this is really important. Just, the main thing is to keep the main thing, and keeping these main things in the forefront of your brain day in and day out, I promise will produce better days than not. So yeah, with this book, okay, I guess I can get in my day to day. Yeah, so all of the days kind of the same. I'd like wake up. I started my day with a cold shower. Probably about, man, when did I said it in the podcast? Maybe like April or May of the spring, sometime in the spring. And so that's still a staple of my day. Do a hot shower and then 2 minutes cold shower, and that just, like I said, a lot of it isn't, the effects don't wear off, but you don't feel them nearly as strong as you did, when you first started, but it never gets easier. And so that's like really important for me, is to start my day off with something that's challenging, whether it's literally 2 minutes of being under clean water, like, but
Dude, just that first initial jolt is just like, ooh, I don't want to do this anymore. But like just
exactly.
standing under, yeah.
Exactly. And just, yeah. And also prior to that being like, damn, I don't want to do this, but I'm still going to do it anyway. That like just get over a little bit of that wall, that little wall
It's like
to
going to
start your
work out
day.
every day. It's like, oh man, I
100%.
don't want to get this workout in, but
A
I'm gonna
hundred
do it anyway.
percent. 100%.
You feel way
100%.
better afterwards too.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, oh, I did a little challenge today. It was something
Yeah.
as simple as that. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And then, yeah, I'll do, a workout during lunch. And then, depending on what time I get back, it's really like maybe work on some school for an hour or so during the week, just so my weekends can be a little more free. And then, whether it's talking with, one of my friends, or, I'm in a new relationship. So whether it's taking time for that and being present and listening, and having things to also say, just a productive conversation with someone that I love. And yeah, and like sleep is, like I said, sleep has been huge for me. Um, and so yeah, like very simple, very basic. I started like meditating in bed now, just because I do it more consistently rather than like sitting down in my chair. So I don't know. They say you're not nearly as like mindful because you're laying down and you're kind of like tired. But either way, if that's something that makes me do it more consistently, being in my bed versus not, then I'm gonna do that. And
And
yeah,
if you're putting a conscious effort into it too, like that's just, it gets you into that routine of doing it and gets you in that discipline.
a
There's no
hundred
fault in
percent.
that.
Yeah, 100%. And then, yeah, something that I'm not. So one, I've been really proud of just sleep. I think everyone can like, because we've had lives and chapters of our lives where it hasn't been a priority, and we're like, dude, your life is like literally different. Your life is completely different when you're really sleep deprived versus not. So that's something I'm grateful for myself for doing. Something I'm not proud of. It's just like, I try to really cut my caffeine intake down. over the summer, and I did that. And with school, I'm way more productive when I'm caffeinated. So I'm having a struggle with the relationship with that right now. Because I wish I could. Right now, my goal is to do like the days I work on school, like I have some caffeine because it helps. And then days I'm not working on school, I don't have caffeine. But caffeine's a drug, and it's like it's addicting, and I don't know. So what I'm trying to get at now is something I want to work on moving forward till the holidays and the rest of the semester is developing a better relationship with caffeine. And really only using it for what it's worth. If I'm feeling a little foggy, maybe I have foggier. I just have like 3 or 4 hours straight that I'm going to work on school or something that's mentally challenging or that's going to need more mental clarity and mental thought. Then hey, let me have a cup of coffee. Um, but I don't want to get to the point where it's like I'm doing it for no, I'm just having it for no reason, just because I want to get that feeling. Anyway, so that's it. That's kind of what's been on my not on my mind a lot, but something I've been struggling with recently.
For
You
sure.
guys both
I love the caffeine.
mentions, yeah.
Yeah, go
You
ahead.
guys both mentioned sleep, and I feel like I tried to get my sleep schedule kind of back on track. I don't think it's ever actually been on track, but I try to go to bed earlier because, say, like tomorrow, I have to get up at like 6.
Yeah.
Um, so I try to go to bed. We try to go to bed before, like, be in bed. Usually we would be getting ready for bed at like 11:30, 11:45, but we try to
Ooh.
push it in an hour. So we're trying to get ready for bed and like doing all this stuff in the tens. And some nights are definitely better than others, but I feel like sleep is something I've struggled with this because like they say when you know something is so important for you, I think it's like hard to still do it. Like I know sleep is so essential and important, but I still struggle like going to bed early and like doing that, like doing the act. And I feel the same way about like meditating or getting sunlight as soon as you wake up. Just like little things like that that you know are good for you. I still think, at least for me, like it's still challenging to do those things, even though you know they're good for you. And I guess it could be said the same, like if you know something's bad for you, but you just like kind of can't stop because you just enjoy it. But I struggle with going to sleep before like midnight, and I always have. So I don't know what I need to maybe try a little harder or something.
Nah, man, I'm right there
Yeah.
with you. Like, I think my biggest thing is like I just don't want the day to be over, or like I'm kind of stuck in like a TV show or something. Like I know I didn't do something that day. I'm just like, oh man, like I could have done this, and I just want to stay up and do it. But it's just different when you just turn off that TV or just close your eyes and actually. I know sometimes like you sit there and you're just like, man, I can't fall asleep. But it's just like if you can just relax yourself and go to bed, and then the same thing with waking up in the morning. It's like, man, I don't want to leave this comfy ass bed, but kick the sheets and get up out there. Yeah, get some sunlight, go for a walk.
Yeah, I'm
It's
trying to
different.
think. Yeah, it is weird, right? Because it's like a weird relationship because they're like YouTube. You mentioned like I love like my favorite thing, and I've said it multiple times, just sitting down eating a meal and watching like a podcast or
Yes, yes.
it's like literally my
You
favorite.
have
Like
you you have to have something picked out before you start eating.
Oh, that's
literally,
facts.
literally,
And like it's
yeah.
got to be paused. It's got to be ready to go.
Yeah, it's my favorite thing in the world. Um, but with that turned into me sitting down for like an extra 30, 45 minutes of me just, and I'm like, I haven't done, I'm like, what am I doing? Um, I don't really know what I was getting at with this thought, but yeah, I mean, it's just hard. Those simple things. It's just have a perspective on of like, okay, what are my worst things, right? And like, I don't know, maybe like we're privileged in this way, for ourselves, that we
Hmm.
work to this point where a lot of people struggle with drugs or alcohol or uh, maybe they're in an abusive relationship, whatever it may have you, right? They're lonely, whatever, actual diagnosed with depression, anxiety, and like we're like, yeah, but man, I love watching down and I love like eating food, well,
Yeah.
or I love watching YouTube while eating food. So I
Oh, what
guess
a
have a
problem.
yeah, if you scope out a little bit in your life, you can really
Yeah.
like kind of laugh at yourself and just be like, man, what people would do to have the problems that I have, and maybe that'll have a better relationship with it, or maybe we'll like develop a better relationship with the sleep, where it's like, hey, this I'm grateful to have this simple problem in my life.
For sure.
Yeah, easier said than done. And that's a funny thing you said. Like, you just like don't want the day to end. I like feel it's like, because for the most part, like what I'm doing is exciting, and like especially in the evenings is that stuff. Like, okay, like for me, it's like, oh, I get to talk to my girl. Like Zach, gets to, or whatever. We all have our things in the evening. And it's like, man, I don't want that to end. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I don't want
Yeah.
that to end. And so obviously that's a good thing. Um, yeah, another thing for me is, and maybe Luke maybe could relate a little bit, or I guess we all can. It's just like a lot of my thoughts right now are really focused on what I want to do down the road, and I don't really like that. I journaled yesterday about like kind of trying my best to let go of that, and just doing what feels right now, and just knowing that it'll take care of itself when the time comes. But man, is that hard. It's
It,
so hard. I
yeah.
just want the answers, right? I want to know like, hey, I'm doing all these things day to day. So therefore, whatever, 18 months from now, I know that I'm going to be doing this next and then next and then next. But at the end of the day, life just doesn't work like that. But that's like something I've really been struggling with lately.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you said it right there. You have the answer for yourself. Like you just want the answers, but you just
You
can't
want
have
the
them right now.
answers.
And
Exactly.
and like that's where I get confused with stuff. It's just like, oh, I want to agree with this like certain stance. So like say, uh, oh, I want to look forward to my future. I want to kind of plan ahead, like have like a plan down of what I want to do. But at the same time, I want to be like that as well, and just be like, okay, I just want to kind of go with the flow, and like when I'm ready for that, then it comes. But at the same time, I feel like you have to allow yourself to be ready, and well, allow yourself to be
Get
ready in that
and get ready.
opportunity. Yeah, get ready, but like
Get ready. Yeah.
you have to make that jump. Like you're never gonna be ready because you're like, oh, I'll wait for me to be ready, but you'll never be ready. So it's just
Ex-
it's hard. It's confusing to go with all the analogies that are out there. So it's just like writing down what you believe in and just going for it.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Like writing, it's amazing what will happen when you get things out of your mind. And I'm not maybe permanently, but it's just like there's a lot in your mind or something that's really taking up a lot of space. When that pen hits the paper, like it's incredible how when you write it out, how it makes so much sense, and you're like, wait, this is what I've been trying to tell myself this whole time. It's just up here, the sentences don't come together, right? The words, not necessarily a different language, but they just aren't adding up in the right way. And
Mhm.
so, and just a quick little challenge to anyone, just like, man, if there's ever a lot on your mind, just get a blank piece of paper and just write, and you'll realize, because when you read it, you're like, oh shit, this came out of my brain. Like
Mhm.
this came out of like,
Yeah.
this feels good because this makes sense. Of course, this is the way to live.
Mhm.
Um, and then it's awesome when you go back and check in with that and be like, yeah, okay, let's go, let's keep going. um yeah.
I've like formulated responses to disagreements or arguments from journaling. Like I didn't have whether it was in the time I was just not able to form the connections of what I wanted to say or what I had the thoughts, but I couldn't picture what I really wanted to say. But journaling it out kind of made sense to me. And that gave me the idea of what I was actually looking for in a weird way. Because I mean, you just like writing down what you're thinking, but it's weird because you can't sometimes think of that in the moment. So it's the connections just it's very unique, but also something we can use to our advantage, I think. So just with little simple things too.
Yeah. Yeah. And I like it. Just you just it's this umbrella of clarity. Like whatever you're like, it just things become a little bit more clear when you start writing it down, or when you just start writing about what's got going on. Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing. And then you're like, yeah, of course, this is how I should be thinking. I am
Yeah.
thinking this way. It just doesn't make sense in my head. So let me just try to write it down. And that's another thing of it's something I mean, literally yesterday I journaled for the first time since September 2nd. So that's over, 28
I'm right
days.
there
So,
with you.
yeah. And so yeah, we
I think
love
that the
these.
biggest thing too is we always just like, oh, we write down some stuff and we're like, oh, okay, we're good for a while, or I'm not gonna journal again for a while. But that's not the case. Like, cause it's day by day where you just have all these experiences and all this content flowing through, and you're like, okay, I can agree with this and I can agree with this. I want to implement this in my life. But if you're not writing it down, I think we talked about this last week, or last episode, where if you're not really writing these down, you're just kind of forget about it. And it's good to go back and look at like your old notes or your old journals that you've had, just to kind of see how you're feeling in that time period and where you're at now.
Yeah. And it's such a short time, you'll realize how much you develop as a human being. You know what I mean? Like something that was, or you just realize kind of how things kind of take care of themselves, right? Something that was on your mind a ton in the past, and that you're struggling with, you write it down, and then you come back to a couple months, maybe even a year later, and you realize how that's worked itself out, not really by any real effort from you, just like that's how life goes sometimes. It just needs
Mhm.
more time to kind of unwind and to kind of lay in front of you a little bit. Um, but
Yeah, you get
yeah,
new experiences and get surrounded by different people. So even a few months, you can just be in a completely different headspace than you were to begin with. So I don't think I ever actually went back and reread old journals. I'd probably be afraid to do that, actually.
Oh, dude, I've done it. I'm like, dude, what was I doing? What am I doing? I don't know. It's embarrassing, but it's good to be open about it.
it's 100%. It's you got to be vulnerable with yourself, so therefore you
Hmm.
can be there for other people. Um, like if you literally can't have compassion and let yourself know that it's okay that you did this, or it's okay that you thought about this situation that way, or you did something that you aren't proud of, um, you have to forgive yourself to actually be able to be there wholeheartedly for other people that you actually want to be there for. You know what I mean? We're the worst. We want to like, I messed up. Like, oh, I'm not okay inside. Um, and like, it's fuzzy in there, but I'm just going to keep pushing that away to be there for my friends because that makes me feel good, or for my family because that makes me feel good, or for my my significant other because that makes me feel good. But you have to try to consistently clear up what's inside of you so you can be like fully there for them, because how are you going to let them know that it's okay if you aren't letting yourself know that you're okay? You know what I mean? And that you make mistakes, and that you'll learn. Those journals from 8 months ago, like it's okay to think that way. You know what I mean? Because now we're here. Um, and you'll just keep evolving, keep evolving. But the most important part that I'm grateful for each other is that we're aware of these things. You know what I mean? There's a lot of people that live their lives with not even being aware of their thoughts or being aware of how they've changed. Or maybe they haven't changed, which is sad as well. And we're not here to compare, our lives to other people, but just grateful
We're
and
here to
just,
confront our thoughts.
that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Um, Gentlemen, we're about 45 minutes in. Any closing topics you guys want to talk about? Or last
Yeah.
topics?
Yeah. How often do you think about the Roman Empire? It's just been a question been going around the internet for like the last like couple weeks. How do you feel about it?
The Roman Empire and
How often?
how they
How
got
no
in.
how no how often do you think about it?
I
uh
think
I
this
mean,
might be the first time
one
in
first time I've had
months,
a
years.
real years. Yeah.
No, yeah, it's just there's just been some wild answers. People are just like, oh, I think about it every day. It's like,
Because the idea of them getting like, because of the
what
idea
are
of
you
them getting
doing?
overthrown.
I don't know. Just like I don't know. I could see it. Like I think about like
No, people
gladiators.
are
I'm not
just
gonna lie.
trolls.
Yeah,
Yeah, people.
yeah. But I started watching it on Netflix. It's kind of interesting. So I was just like, all right,
Wait,
learn
what is
something
the
new.
show?
It's called the Roman Empire.
Oh wait, are they referring to the show when they asked that?
I don't know. I don't know.
Oh,
But I just started watching it. But
it's a good show.
it's been all right. Nothing crazy.
Okay.
It's more of like a history show. But I don't
Okay.
know. I'm fighting through it. Yeah. But I digress.
Look,
Let's
I haven't had a
next.
good show. I guess Quarterback was a good show. I texted you about Zach.
Mhm.
Luke, you watched. That
Yeah.
was a really, really good
Oh, it
show.
was so
But
good.
that's so much our alley. That's so much up like our alley
Oh,
that
just
it's like,
football.
of course I'm gonna love it. It's behind the scenes of the best, the hardest position in sports. Like of course I'm gonna
Mhm.
love that.
Just big
The
football
biggest thing I
guys.
took away was Kirk Cousins was like I fell in love with the guy, and I was trying to, you know, kind of
He's a
reflect on
simple
why.
man. He's a
That's what
simple
it
man.
was. He was a simple man. And I wrote down in our notes, this is kind of okay. Well, then we'll end on this. But um, I wrote down after watching that, I want the simple pleasures of life that my career will allow me to do. And in parentheses, I had like taking my future kids to school, coaching youth sports, having time to spend with my future wife. And I got that from witnessing this guy's day-to-day life and how he like took Tuesdays off, or yeah, it was Tuesdays off, which is like unheard of during the season. Like taking Tuesday off as a quarterback, or Tuesdays as a quarterback, is like your day, because you got your recovery day if you played Sunday, and then if it's Monday, then you're back to work because you play again Sunday. You know what I'm trying to say? If you play Monday night, then you have to come Tuesday. You know what I'm trying to say? And he was like, I don't care. Like Tuesdays are for my wife and for my family. And then they interview his wife, and she was like, Tuesdays are my favorite day because it's where I'm fully present with Kirk during the season and stuff like that. And it just made me realize like, damn, that is like, that's such a simple thing, such a simple thing, taking Tuesdays off. And obviously, you know, for us, maybe that's taking Sunday completely off, or we don't do anything, right? And I'm not saying that's feasible right now, but maybe down the road we could think about that when there's someone in our lives, you know, or multiple people relying on us if we have a family one day. And just like, you know, like he said, his priority, he knows his top priority is his family, you know, and his health. And so it was just really awesome to see that and feel that, how that impacted his family and his wife. And it was just amazing. Huge Kirk guy. He has first win today too, which feels good. He's absolutely balling out. I mean, he's the best quarterback in the league, and he's 1-2.
Yeah, shout out Kirk. He's been constantly consistent. Kirk.
Constantly, yeah. He's goated. But anyway, what I was trying to get at, if you guys have any shows in mind that are good, this is a time of year where I kind of get into, I'm like more of a homebody already, but I definitely will take some time and binge a show here and there on the weekdays.
It's
But
been on big podcast wave, so nothing for me.
I know football podcasts are easy.
Dude,
yeah.
Oh yeah, that and the new one with Joe Rogan, Shane Gillis, and Theo Vaughn. I think. Oh my gosh, I gotta watch it. I've heard a lot about it.
They all went on Joe Rogan together?
I don't know. I think they actually had their own show. Let me look it up.
Well, no way. I gotta look this up right now.
I think I saw there was a new Mike podcast, but I'm not on Twitter, so I didn't know there was one that came out recently.
Yeah, growing. That's on his. I saw that one. It's a good one.
They're all good.
Facts.
I went back and watched a bunch of the ones with that Eben guy. What of his name is?
Evan Britton. Evan Britton.
Yeah. I like his voice. I think it just kind of soothes me.
Yeah, no, 100%.
I don't know. I'm trying to find this and I can't. But
Was it
someone told me about it. I just can't find it.
Yeah, I mean, Theo Vaughn is the GOAT. But anyway, all right, gentlemen. Thank you everyone tuning in. Light came out. Any closing thoughts? I'm super pumped we came on here. I was literally talking to my mom before this, and I was like looking forward to it. And so yeah, we always end these being like, all right, we got a bit better at this, but we do. We're checking in with ourselves. We're confronting our thoughts. We need to be more consistent. And with that, we're trying our best. There's no way for us.
We're not perfect.
We're not perfect. We're trying our best. Time zones, football, school, ourselves, our relationships, our lives. But it felt good to get back on here.
It's just good to get a smile from you guys and see you guys. Football's back, baby. Let's go.
Yeah. Zach, anything?
No, the winter months are coming up, fall. So do some Halloween stuff, enjoy the weather. Also, just take care of yourself and keep doing you.
Perfect.